So the first thing you want to pay attention to is the toolbar on the left side. You'll notice if you hover on any of these icons, it will tell you what the overall buttons will do. When you click on any of these buttons, additional buttons will show up so that you can kind of check which one you want. So it usually will always default to the select tool. The first thing we're going to do is activate the rectangle tool. And we're going to pick the top rectangle button. We're then going to click in the origin. Notice it actually tells you it's the origin, which is where all of our axes meet, our three-dimensional axes, our X, Y, and Z. We're going to click, not hold, just click one time at the origin, and then drag our cursor out, the pencil out. Notice in the bottom right corner it says dimensions. You don't have to type anything there. That's just showing you what your dimensions currently would be. So we want a 10-foot by 10-foot square to be our dog's yard. So we're just going to type. We're not going to move our cursor. We're just going to type 10 feet by 10 feet and hit enter. And it will turn our yard gray. We're then going to, in the middle or somewhere in the yard, make another rectangle, and we're going to make it 5 feet by 3 feet, and this is going to be the actual base of the doghouse. We're then going to go to the push-pull tool on the side left, and we're going to pick the top one, and we're going to make our doghouse. We're going to click once on it and drag it up. Just click, we're not holding, and we're going to just type 3 apostrophe for 3 feet and hit enter. Next, you may want to orbit by holding down the center wheel button. Oops. So that we can see the roof a little better. Oh, now notice my doghouse is moving. If that ever happens, just hit the escape button and it will release whatever you were clicking. We're now going to go to the line tool. We want to make a straight line from the midpoint. Notice the midpoint turns blue. There's a blue dot. To the opposite midpoint. So we're going to click once and then click on the other midpoint. You want to make sure your midpoint lines are being drawn parallel to the longest. We do not want to be going this direction. That would not make the proper roof. From there, we're now going to activate the move tool. So we'll click on move and we're going to activate the top one that says move. And we want to find the midpoint of the line we just drew. And we're going to click right where it says midpoint, and we're going to drag it up, and we're going to type 18 and hit enter. When we don't hit any units, that's telling it 18 inches. Next, we're going to actually create the roof by using the push-pull tool again. We're going to click on push-pull, and now we're going to hit Control on the keyboard. We're going to hit Control. You should see a little plus sign next to the icon of the push-pull now, which is going to mean we're going to copy and make an additional layer onto the roof. So we're going to click one time, drag it out. Doesn't matter if you drag it way out or a little bit out, but make sure it doesn't go in. We definitely want it to kind of come upward. And we're going to type 4 enter, again implying we want 4 inches. We're going to orbit, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Drag out, 4 enter. Make sure every time you do this that that little plus sign is there so that you get the white roof. Okay, now we're going to click in this V shape right here, and we want to drag it out so that it aligns to the opposite side so we don't have an indentation on our roof. Next, we're going to keep the push-pull activated, and we want to make overhangs for our roof. Okay, so all we're going to do is click on each part of the roof, and we're going to drag it out an additional 4 inches. Whoops, and we're going to have to 4 enter. There we go. And we're going to hit here. Oops. 4 enter. And here 4 enter. So when I orbit, you can see it's coming over. We're going to do the bottom so it comes off the side 4 inches. I'm going to orbit around to the back and pull it out 4 inches. And then the opposite side. So now from all our perspectives, you can see that the roof is over the house. Okay? So we want to make sure we've gotten all of the sides properly done. Next, we're going to create a door. So we're going to go back and activate the rectangle tool. And it doesn't really matter where you place it. You wouldn't want to click initially at the midpoint. You probably want to go to a little bit to the left of the midpoint. And we're just going to draw a nice rectangle right there. Then we're going to activate the arc tool, which is right here. And we want to pick the 2-point arc. And we're going to click one time on the corner of the original rectangle we just drew, and then at the other, and then pull up, and you'll actually be able to make, and it'll tell you it's a half circle. Okay. In order to actually make it a door, you can either click on it and hit delete on your keyboard, and then you can actually see inside your house. Now what you may notice is that there's a hole because we did not hit control at the bottom. If we had hit control when we first did our push-pull, it would still be here, but what you can do is just draw another rectangle. Oh, and then that closed off my hole. That's okay. There we go. Oh no, now I erased the whole back of my house. So I'm going to hit Control Z to make that come back. I don't know why this is not... There we go. So I had to get rid of that line. So I had to use the eraser tool on the line of my arc. So now we have an open doghouse. I believe if you erase that line, you know, it erases it on the bottom, but that doesn't matter. We still have a ground and you can see inside your doghouse now. Okay. Next is the fun part. So you have your house made. Now you get to get creative. So you can go to the paint bucket. Okay. And there are sample materials or just paint materials. If you come over to the, notice once you click it, it also shows up over here on your right side. So these are just basically colors that you can use. If you go to browse, or the little search icon, you can actually look at other materials. So instead of just using color and things like that, because we made a doghouse, we actually probably want some brick cladding and siding because that's what we would use for a doghouse. So I might use this. So my doghouse, so I click on all my sides. Now it looks like my doghouse is actually made from siding. Know if this is, let's see if we can find roofing. So that's what I want to use for my roof. So I'm going to paint. Oops, it didn't activate. There we go. And you want to make sure you click everywhere, including underneath. That's where I'll be grading. So you want to make sure you've clicked on all parts of your roof. You do not, again, have to use my colors. So you want to make sure you keep orbiting so everything gets painted. Notice I forgot the underside there. And you want to double check, because I will be doing that when I grade yours, that everything on the roof has been properly done. Okay. And then obviously for our grass, I don't want him on a gray piece of square. I might want him actually, our dog, to be on a grass. So I can actually use any of the grass material as well. Now you can get creative as well and kind of decorate the inside of your dog's house if you wanted a different color. If you want to put a rug in there, you could draw a rectangle in there and put a rug in there. And you can make a couple add-ons like that. Once you have finished decorating your doghouse, you need to make sure you right-click on your axes. And we want to hide them, because we don't want those in there. And you're going to want to make sure you have your doghouse from a side angle so you can see it. And you want to make sure it takes up most of the screen. Okay, you want a side angle so I can tell it's definitely 3D, like I can see the front, the top, and the side of the doghouse. We're going to want to save it. Okay, and we're going to name it your name. So I'm going to name mine Mrs. DeMarco Doghouse and hit OK. And I'm going to save it to my Google Drive. And it's going to ask where I want to save it. So I'm going to save it in Steam Rotation. And I'm going to select that. Yikes. I'm not sure what happened there. Let's see if I go to steam rotation. There's my doghouse, along with a couple other ones. So now it says Mrs. DeMarco's doghouse.